Hey everyone, today I'll be making a guide on the United Empires, the human faction of Endless Space 2, and I'll also be talking about the basics of Endless Space 2 in case you're new. So I got this during the big Christmas sale, and I watched some game reviews and some gameplay, and it looked right up my alley, and I was really interested in it. So I only been playing this game for about 2 weeks or so, but as of recording I have about 200 hours of gameplay, and half of that was trying to figure out all the nooks and crannies, tips and tricks, all the ins and outs, stuff like that. So instead of spending 100 hours on the tutorial and learning how the game works, I'm going to go ahead and make this video. Now I notice there's other guides out there, people with more hours, more detailed guides out there, but they talk in a not beginner way, like not a new player way. And also I noticed those new guides, the United Empire guide is about 7 years old, and I watched that video, and one of the first things they mention is the game is in early access and things might change, and they never made a sequel to it. I don't know if the game has changed any. I got this game like 2 weeks ago during the sale. I have not got the DLC, but I plan on getting those. I am loving Endless Space 2. I've been playing it non-stop. I think this is actually what you see on screen here is actually one of the DLC factions. I do not have the DLC faction, but this is what they look like. The trailer of them is online somewhere, the Vultures, but this is not the United Empires. But anyways, I'm going to try to make this new player friendly as possible. I was watching the guide, and they kept mentioning like math, and the first turn was like an hour long, and I'm not going to do that. So what I want to do is do a breakdown on the United Empires, and you can take it from there. I'm not going to tell you to go left or right. I'm not going to tell you you should get this or that. I'm just going to give you a basic breakdown. So this is a 4X game, which I didn't know, which means it's pretty complicated. And there's a big map. So I'm going to talk about the human faction. Now recently I did play the other factions, and I got their achievements, and it said only 3% of players actually got the achievement, which is crazy to me. It took me like 2 hours to get the achievement, which in this game is pretty short. 2 hours in this game is a short time. So I'm actually shocked that no one has these achievements. I mean, some people do, but it's a very small amount. So anyways, I'm going to break into the United Empires, break it down for you. Strength, weaknesses, matchups, stuff like that. And I'll also talk about the basics. So I guess we'll get started. Now there is a tutorial, but it's not that great. It's kind of misleading. So I'm going to give you a better tutorial. And they don't tell you everything, which hurts. They only tell you, this is a very, very complicated game, and they only tell you the basics. So I'm going to go ahead and try to explain everything in a new player friendly way. And we'll go ahead and start. So I'm going to hit new game and show you, hold on.
You will lead us to victory.
Do
By
there we
your
go.
will. The
Okay, this is gonna be a United Empire guide and breakdown. Here I was achievement hunting, so don't worry about this. I was trying out new stuff, achievement hunting, stuff like that, so don't worry about this screen here. So let's talk about the United Empire.
lead us to dominion.
Let's see.
Bring us to victory.
This isn't very good. Let's see. It doesn't show you everything. Hold on. This isn't a very good screen to show you. It's not a good way to break things down. I'm a visual guy.
It is a time of great peace and prosperity for the
Let's see,
Empire.
this isn't a very good screen either.
Usurpers have been vanquished.
I'm a visual guy, so I'm trying to get a visual helper. Okay, I think this is a better way to break the game down and break everything down. Okay. So you are the human faction, you are the Emperor, you are an Empire faction. And I'll go ahead and try to break this down as easy as I can. Okay. So let's start from the top and work our way down. And I'll tell you the strengths and weaknesses. And I'll actually quit the game and give you matchup advice and tell you how the other factions work. That way, in case you run into them, you can have some matchup advice. Now, how you actually play the game is up to you. So, like you can see here, there's two paths here and one path here. I'm not going to tell you which path to go. You can do whatever you want. So let me go ahead and try to break down the United Empire, try to make it new player friendly. Okay. So, United Empire. Now, this is definitely way in the future of where we're at now, because we're exploring space and we have aliens on our planet. If I check our planet, we have aliens there. So this is definitely in the future. So let's start with that. So United Empire, mostly human faction, and I'll go ahead and explain that. Don't worry about the tutorial. The tutorial is not that useful at all. So let me explain humans for a second. You can see in the bottom left there, they give you +1 purple star, and they also give you a bonus to industrious. So you can see here I have above average amount of purple stars, and purple stars are right here. Now purple stars is mostly it represents your power, and you can use purple stars to make demands of the other factions. So with purple stars you can make demands much easier than other factions. So I think that's the first thing I'll start with. That's what the humans are good at. They're good at making demands. The alien you start out with is the Yushu. The Yushu give you a kind of a defense. This is kind of your defense for your planet. You can also use these guys to attack, kinda. So you got these guys here. These represent your power, and these guys here are kind of your attack defense alien. If that makes sense. So you got Emperor's Will. Emperor's Will is really good. So normally this is not a resource. This purple star is not a resource for the other factions. But for United Empire, this purple star can be used as money. So you got money here, which is this gold thing. And then you have the purple star, which can also be used as money. So basically you have double money, which is unique to the Empire. That's something no one else has, this double resource income. So we got Imperials here. I think I showed you that before. Now what you have in your population will affect voting. So there is voting in the game, and the more humans you have, the more likely they'll be the vote for you. The more aliens you have, the less chances they'll vote for you. So that's how that works, if that makes sense. Alright, let's go on to traits. Now traits are what make a faction a faction. These are your strengths, and you really want to read these. Every time you play Endless Space 2, you really want to take a look at this. This is really important. So, the first trait is we start out with the Yushu. That's kind of our fighters. So humans, not actually our combat faction. It's actually the Yushu. The Yushu are our actual fighters, which are the aliens. Expansion is 1. So when this bar gets filled, this bar right here, when it gets filled, you will take a penalty to your happiness. Happiness is a resource, and when this bar gets filled, your happiness will get lower. Expansionist 1 says the penalty will be small instead of the normal penalty. So what this means is you can fill this bar up and not really worry about it. Not really worry about the consequences. So what this means is you can expand and not really worry about this bar. Other factions have to deal with this. This is very important. The penalty is much larger. So if you're a different faction, this penalty is actually pretty big. Patriots 2. This gives you more manpower. Manpower is mostly fighting and defense and also invading. Now that's a lot to talk about, so I'll just leave it there for now. But manpower is attacking, defense, basically the combat of the game. So that's something useful to know. Xenologistics. This is a research. There's a research screen, and humans start out with this research already unlocked. So if I go ahead and read it to you, the short version is you get plus 10 industry at the start of the game. Now this is massive. If we look at this number right here, 40 industry, that's actually a lot higher than other factions. So we have above average industry income. And the way the Empire works is every time you spend this 40 industry, you get happiness. That's another bonus. So for the United Empire, you really want to get rid of this 40 resource as quickly as you can, because you'll get happiness for it. This 60% will go up by a lot if you spend this resource. This 12 star right here is a lot higher than most factions. So we start out with an above average industry resource, and we start out with an above average star bonus. And we can use this star as a money, which is really good. Off-world agriculture, agribusiness. Off-world agribusiness lets us talk to aliens, which is really good. So as the United Empire, you really want other aliens in your factions. And even if you don't, just by being friends with aliens, you'll get a permanent bonus, which is really good. Now you can have as many alien factions as you can find. So getting this permanent bonus over and over again is really strong. So you do have to find the alien faction, and you have to be friends of them. And it's kind of a long process, but it's worth it. And if you do become friends with the alien, you will get their planet. Now their planet is usually not that great, but having a free planet, you know, it's pretty much a free planet. So I'd say it's worth it. So you definitely want to meet up and talk to aliens and become friends with them. And that is all the traits. Let's talk about the actual planet for a minute. So this planet here, the third one, this one is always guaranteed. You will always start out with this planet. And I do think this is an above average planet. So you will always start out with this, and it's pretty solid. Not everyone starts out with a jungle planet. So this is actually a pretty solid start. Now these planets here to my left and this planet here to my right is actually random. These are completely random planets. So let's talk about these random planets for a second. We got a forest planet and another forest planet, and we got a lava planet. Now what we want is to spend this industry resource. That's what's important. The rest of this, not really. So we really want this lava planet because we want this industry bar to be full. But we have to unlock it. We don't start out with lava planets, we have to unlock it. Now these forest planets are really good for happiness and money. So we do want to get these planets here. You'll get a lot of food and you'll get a lot of money, which are both good things. And you can see here at this bottom button, we have these planets unlocked. So we have to unlock this planet, but these two here are already unlocked. Another thing about United Empire is they start out with this upgrade here, which not many other factions have. This is the plus 10 to everything, which is really good. Another thing United Empire have that not many factions have is this upgrade here, which gives you plus 10 happiness, which is really good. So at the start of the game, we have 60% happiness, and we can actually boost that up by hitting this button here, and now it'll be 70% happiness. Now, the higher your happiness, the higher this number is, the harder they work. So you can see here at 60%, as you can see there at 60%, there's a bonus at the bottom, and right now it says 0. But if we get this upgrade, it'll become 70%, and we'll get a food bonus and a influence bonus, which is that purple star. So this upgrade here is actually very important. It also costs industry, which we want to spend. We want to spend this industry as much as possible. So all these upgrades here are actually very important for the United Empire. And we start out with this, which is really good. I guess the next thing we'll talk about is government, because government's pretty important. So I'm going to click on this screen here. This is your government screen. So right now we're a federation. Federation means we can expand easier. So right here, you can see this right here, this sentence right here. This makes expanding a lot easier as Federation. Now later on, you can unlock the power to change this, but for right now at this moment, this makes expanding a lot easier. So let me go back to the expansion screen, which is this bar right here. Right now it says 1 out of 5. By other factions, it might be 1 out of 4, or maybe even 1 out of 3. So United Empire's strength is they can have 2 more planets than most people. And then you combine that with Expansion S1, really you can start the game out with about 7 planets you can control. So that's really, really good. You can have really 7 planets at the start. So that's really, really strong. Now you do need a lot of food. Food is how you get more people and more. This is how you get these numbers higher. You get these numbers higher by having more food. So food gives you more people. Once this reaches a certain amount, you really don't need to upgrade it anymore. Once this reaches, let's say 60, you're fine. You don't really need to get that any higher. Industry, you can get that as high as you can. That's really important. You really want to get this number as high as possible, especially if you're playing United Empire. This is your money income. You want to get this number as high as you can. There's no downside to it. So you just want to get a really high income. Science speeds up your inventions, and when I click on the invention screen, you'll see how many inventions there are. There's a lot. So you want this number to be high as possible. And this is the purple star, influence, and you want this number to be as high as possible because you can use that as another form of money. So you really want to get these 4 numbers as high as possible. And food, you want to upgrade it, but once it reaches like 60, you don't have to worry about it anymore. Once it gets past 60, you really don't have to worry about it. So that's how United Empire starts. I do think this start is actually above average. When you compare it to other factions, I think this start is actually a lot better than most people. Alright. Let's go back to the laws. So we start out with a counselor, and the counselor can boost our planets, and it also gives us some political power. Not a lot of political power, but it gives us some political power. And as you can see here on this screen, we can make new laws. Now these laws can be really strong or really weak. You really have to read them. And these laws cost purple. And as you can tell, we started out with above average amount of purple. So as United Empire, laws are very easy for you. So I'll go ahead and hit the law button. And as you can see here, we have 3 laws to choose from. And these laws are very easy for us because we start out with above average purple stars, right? So these laws are very easy to enact. And let's talk about the first law. The first law says you get +3 gold per person, and at the cost of negative happiness. So your happiness will go down, it'll take a hit, but in exchange you'll get 3 gold per person, which is actually a lot. Now at the start of the game we have 3 people, so that's +9 gold, which isn't much. But if we look at the planets again, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 5 more people that can fit on this planet. So that's another like 20 gold. So really, right now it says we have a 21 gold intake, but once we pass this law, it's gonna jump up to like 40. So we can start the game out with double gold intake, or dust. The game calls it dust, but we can start the game out with double gold income if we want to. But it will lower down our happiness, which is right here. And once that number gets into the red, people will start to leave your planet, which will be a huge hit to your resource. Each of these guys give you about +6 resources, and we have 3 of them, so that's +18 resources. So that's why we have the numbers that we have. Once we get new people, which is 8 turns, in 8 turns we'll get another person. We'll get another +6. So every 8 turns we'll get another +6 to our income. Now I want to talk about this orange bar right here. This orange bar means overpopulation, which means you can have more people here, but it'll start to get crowded and people will start to get mad and start to fight each other. So you want to make sure this orange bar is not lit up, as it will take you will take a massive hit to your happiness. Basically, when it comes to Endless Space 2, you want to keep an eye on your happiness. That's very important. There's a governor button. Your hero that you start out with is actually a governor, so we can go ahead and slap that on. Now, I actually don't like doing that because you don't need extra resources at the start of the game. I think we have above average resources. So what I recommend doing, and this is something I do at the start of the game, is you can get your hero. This is your senator. This is your senator guy. I think he's also I think he's your cousin or something. This is your cousin guy. This is your senator. What I like to do is there is a governor button, but I like to hit this button here, create fleet. So there's a governor button and there's a create fleet button. I'll go ahead and hit the create fleet button and hit this right here, hit confirm, and now he has a spaceship right here. These are your spaceships. This blue thing right here, these are all your spaceships at the start of the game. Now I do think United Empire starts out with above average spaceships. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. We talked about the planets, we talked about your strengths. So let's go ahead and look at these spaceships here. We have the Settler, which has a gun and some movement speed. The Settler's only job is to colonize and expand. And as you can see here, we can have up to 5. So what we need is 4 more. We need 4 more settlers. And with over colonization 1, really we can have 6 or 7 planets. So what we need is 7 more of these colonizers. And we need to find 7 more planets to take over. Now each planet, as you can see here, has a different amount of resources. So each planet is different. So you have to make sure the planet you pick is the right one. Okay? Next ship we have is Patrol. Patrol is not for expanding, it's for exploring. This is your Explore guy. Now he has this very powerful ability called Probe, and I'll go ahead and show that off. So I'm going to go ahead and shoot a probe off, and what this does is it gets rid of these like glass. You see this like glass here? The probe gets rid of the glass. And I'll go ahead and shoot this probe off. The probe is very powerful. So let me go ahead and shoot this probe off. And as you can see there, I have now more map vision. And it says 5 churns. What that means is that in 5 churns, is going to keep going and going and going and going, and it actually does about half the map, the entire map. So the probe is very powerful because you could hit a button and see half the map. I'll go ahead and set another probe down this way, and now I can see deeper over here. So I can search space without actually going anywhere, which is really strong. This is actually a very powerful ability. Another ability it has, the Patroller, is you can click on these dots here. Now these dots can be anything. It can be resources, it can be pretty much anything. So it's hard for me to explain what these dots are, but you definitely want to collect them. And you also get a bonus just for hitting these, collecting these. So you definitely, so our max amount of settlers is probably 6, but our max amount of patrollers is as much as you want. So we can go ahead and make as many patrol vehicles as we can, and we can use these to explore the map. Now my map generation is this. You can see my map generation. I'm also towards the left of the map. You can see there. That's what my map generation is. But you can also spawn in the middle. You can spawn here. You can spawn over here towards the center of the galaxy. Or you can also spawn here towards the far right of the galaxy. So there is someone here, an empire. There's someone here, another empire. And there's someone here, another empire. And that's guaranteed. So I know if I send a probe this way, I'll run into the other empire. And that's just how the game works. Now we have our hero ship. Our hero ship is actually a lot faster than our explorer ship. And it's also got a better gun. It's got a better gun, and it's just straight up faster. So let me go ahead and click on the edit button, which is this spaceship here. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that. Don't worry about the left of the screen. You don't need to worry about any of this. This isn't really important. Let me go ahead and click on the edit button. So I can edit this. And this ship has a bunch of stuff on it, but what's important is you can actually make it faster. And that's really good at the beginning of the game. Well, actually, it's not this one. I take that back. This one you can't make faster. It's this one, right? Yeah, this one here. Your colonizer, your expander, your empire expander, you can actually make it faster by hitting this button. And now your spaceship is now a lot faster than it was before. And this is really good at the beginning of the game. And your hero ship is on this screen here. Let me go ahead and hit the inspect button. Let me go ahead and click on the hero ship, which is on the left here. Now same thing. You can hit auto design. You can hit this button here, auto design. So right now, as it has a speed of 4, it's got 4 speed, right? I'm gonna hit auto design, and now it has 10 speed. This is over double the speed, right? We now have over double the speed, which is really important. It will cost us all our money to upgrade this spaceship. It'll cost us all our money to get this speed upgrade, but I do think it's worth it. So we're gonna go ahead and grab the speed upgrade. So at turn 1, we now have double speed, and we can explore the map a lot easier. Now this map is random, so I can't give you a whole lot of advice. What else is there to talk about? Okay, so we can talk about the invention screen, which is based on your science. So right now we have 25 science income, and we can boost that later on. So let's go ahead and talk about the invention screen. So most of this will be the same for every faction. You'll notice some symbols here, if I can find them. Okay, so right here, this symbol here represents your United Empire, which means it's unique. So what you want to do is kind of look for these symbols. These symbols here means it's unique to you, and so what this means is these symbols are unique to you and no one else. No one else has this. So you kind of want to keep an eye out for this. Now the game will automatically grab suggested, which is here. And you'll notice that the unlocks that are for you are not suggested, which means you have to go into this screen here and grab it. You have to grab this unlock. The game won't do it for you. The game will grab this for you, and any invention is good, but you should probably get the invention that's for your faction, like this one here and like this one here. Now there's a couple things I want to talk about. So up is mostly defense, which only matters if you're in a war. So all these upgrades here are defense focused, and this is shared by everyone. You can see here that there's no faction symbol, which means it's shared. So everyone has access to these defense upgrades. So these don't really matter right now. I wouldn't worry about these right away. These are mostly defense upgrades. These inventions here, we'll take a look at it. So this one here is already unlocked, which is really good. It also unlocks mining of blue titanium. Now, when you start the game out, titanium is actually really strong, and you want to have a lot of this. Another very important upgrade is this one, because it lets you mine yellow, and yellow is also very strong. So you always want to have these two unlocked, just for the mining. It also upgrades your resources, but the mining is the reason you grab it. You really want to grab these to unlock mining, and mining is right here. You'll notice that these numbers will go up more and more. Down here is science. Science is mostly about space. This will help you make space a lot easier. This will make exploring a lot easier. This will make early game a lot easier. So say you're exploring space and you have no idea what's going on. This will make the game a lot easier. And you can see here there's no faction symbol, which means this is all shared. Everyone has access to this, right? So you can see here, this unlocks Mediterranean planets. You can see here, this one unlocks tundra planets. So honestly, it's not a good idea to click these at random. You shouldn't click this one and then click that one. Really what you should do is click on your screen here and pay attention to what you got. So we have Moonson, forest, and lava. And we do want all of these, right? It's good to have more. So what we should do is, instead of clicking on these randomly, we should focus on the lava. And lava should be over here. This is ash. Okay, this is lava. So we need to get this eventually. We need to get lava planets, right? So we can unlock this. And this will give us a massive industry boost. And that's basically the first turn of the game. Another thing on this planet, and this is random, we also have a luxury deposit. Now luxuries go here. Luxuries will be on this screen, and you will gather these. Now luxuries can be used to upgrade all your planets at once. So luxuries are really, really good. You don't have to research anything to unlock them. So luxuries, you can use these luxuries to upgrade your entire planet at the same time. And this is a mechanic that's shared by everyone. Everyone has access to this. So, as the United Empire, as the human faction, let me go back to the technology screen. So don't worry about the military tree. This is mostly defense, like if you get attacked. So don't really worry about this unless you're actually being attacked. This is not a big deal. Don't worry about this. This is happiness and food. Something you really don't have to worry about because we started out with two forest planets. So we don't have to worry about food at all, actually. So these are not a big deal. Now having more influence is nice. So you might want to start grabbing these so you can upgrade your influence and how much you can use this as money, right? So having more influence is good. So I wouldn't really worry about food. We actually have above average amount of food. So food is not a big deal right now. We don't actually need food upgrades. And science will make space a lot easier. So I actually recommend going down here first and unlocking space, because space makes it so much easier, right? And then you have here, which unlocks mining and lava planets. We really need that lava planet because we are an industrious faction, and this lava planet will give us a lot of industry. And when we spend industry, we get happiness, and our happiness will go up, if that makes sense. Hopefully that was all new player friendly and you guys can understand that. Let's take a look at the basic upgrades. Drone networks is a food and industry upgrade, and I usually get this one first. This is probably the best upgrade in the game, and you get it at the very start. So I recommend getting drone networks at the very start of the game. This is a very big boost to everything. Then you have cerebral reality. This gives you more science and more money. Science is good because it lets you unlock stuff faster. And money is good because you can make spaceships and all that. So money is really good. Xeno industry infrastructure. This will boost your industry by a lot, and it'll make building anything a lot easier, right? So you want to grab this. This will make all your building stuff easier. And then you have infinite supermarkets. This will give you a boost to your influence, which you can use as money. So this is really good. You also have access to your patroller, which is your main fighter. At the start of the game, this is your real fighting ship. This is your combat ship. You also have your settler. Settler can also fight, but you don't need to do that turn 1. You don't need to fight turn 1. So you don't need to fight with this guy right now. So really what you should do turn 1 And something I do sometimes, turn 1, is you can hit this button here. This button is called Auto Explore, and it'll explore the map for you until a certain point. So let me go ahead and show you what that looks like. I'm going to go ahead and hit Auto Explore, and they'll explore the map for me, like this. See that? Look at that. We got new planets already. And more titanium. This is random, by the way. So I didn't know this was here. And let's go ahead and take a look at this. What we want as a industrious faction is this bar here, right? So these planets here with this bar, this orange bar, or maybe it's brown, this brown bar, these are the planets we want. But gas planets are hard to unlock, and also it can only hold like 2 people. So these gas planets are actually not that valuable. We have a tundra planet, which has a lot of science, and science is always good. It doesn't matter what faction you are, science is always good. It also has titanium, and titanium is really good at the start of the game. Really, at the start of the game, you really want to grab as much titanium as possible. This will unlock gun upgrades. So right now our basic gun is kind of whatever. The gun we start out with is a whatever gun, but titanium makes it better, right? So right now our gun does 51 damage, which isn't great, but with titanium we can actually upgrade this to double, like 100 damage. So that's something important to know. What else? When we do run into combat, I want to show you guys something. So you'll get these cards, and you can unlock more cards as the game goes on. So you start out with 5 cards, and you'll unlock more cards as the game goes on. Now these cards represent, what these cards mean is actually your range. So our ships are all short range combat, and I'm pretty sure every faction starts out with short range combat, meaning we need to get close. And close range is this one here, where the blue bar is all the way across. This means short range, and this is what we want. So what that means is we need to avoid cards like these, because this represents long range, right? So this card here is long range, which is the opposite of the ship we have. Our ship, if we look at it one more time, our ship says short range, right? This ship here says short range and also medium range. And everybody starts out with this. Everybody starts out with this gun. Medium range, 50%. Short range, 95% accuracy. So what we want is to be very close to our enemy. We want to be as close to our enemy as possible. So the card we want is actually the first one. The first card, when we do get into combat, we want to use this first card. And maybe later on in the game, we will unlock long range combat. Now if we do unlock long range combat, we want the second card. The second card represents long range combat, if that makes sense. Now let me show you another thing. We have a bunch of guns at the top of the screen. We have torpedoes. We have what we have now, and we got lasers. We can't put lasers on this ship, but changing the weapon costs money, and we don't have any money, right? We just spent all our money, so we don't have any money. What we could do is put lasers on our gun, which are long-range combat. So if we need to, we can switch to long-range combat, but it does cost money, which we don't have. So at the very start of the game, we will be focusing on short-range combat, if that makes sense. Another thing I want to mention is turn 5, you will get a quest. You can pick industry, science, or combat, and you'll get this quest a few times. And you want to pick the reward that suits your map. Every map is random, and you want to suit your reward to your map. So let's say we don't have a science planet. Well, let's go ahead and pick the science quest. That'll give us a big boost to our science, and that will let us unlock stuff faster. That'll let us unlock technology faster if we get a science planet. Now, what if we start out by someone violent or hostile? Then we might want to get the military quest reward, right? Or what if nothing happens and everything's a-okay? Well, we'll just stick to industry. We'll stay a military. We'll stay a factory. Right now we're a factory faction, and we can, during the quest, we can stick to that if everything's a-okay. So depending on your map, you know, that's what will happen. So let me go ahead and look at these planets again. So we got 2 gas and a tundra, right? Now we want this tundra planet for the titanium. That's why we want the tundra planet, so we can get more and more titanium. So let's go ahead and go to our technology screen here, right? And let's actually type in the word tundra. Right? Oh, look at that. So we started out next to a tundra planet, which we can't have, right? We can't have that tundra planet. But if I click on this, which takes 6 turns, in 6 turns we will have access to that tundra planet, right? So in 6 turns we can have access to this and grab it. See that? Now, maybe we don't want this because gas planets are kind of bad. They have these big bars, but gas planets are honestly not that great. So, but if you want this science planet, in 6 turns, we will unlock it. If that makes sense. Now, I'm going to go ahead and quit and talk about matchups. And I also want to talk about weaknesses. So let me go ahead and quit. This was a random map. You can keep going if you want, but that's turn 1. Okay, let's go ahead and talk about matchups for a second. Okay, so you are the United Empire. You start out with short-range combat. You have an above-average planet. You're an industrious faction. You can have more planets than most people. And you start out with more positivity than most factions. And that is the United Empire's strength. As an industrious faction, you really want to buy building upgrades or ships. You don't get any bonuses for science. You don't get any bonuses for the other stuff, right? Like military. You don't get any bonuses for military. You get bonuses for building things. And really what you should do as United Empire is mine. Mining is really good for you. So what you need to do as United Empire is mine. I think that's what you should do turn 1. That's what I recommend. Now you are not a money faction, and you are not a science faction, and that's kind of your weakness. So your weakness would be money and science. Now let's go ahead and talk about the matchups, and then I'll end the video.
To the stars.
Okay, so we have the Sophons.
Build a better world.
So the Sophons are kind of a hard counter to you. The Sophons are kind of a hard counter to you. They are a science faction who are really good at exploring. They don't have to pay that 90 gold to explore the world. They already have exploring unlocked. So these guys are kind of a hard counter to you. And they also start out with long range combat. And you're a short range combat. So you kind of don't want to mess with Sophons. Sophons are kind of a hard counter to you. So I wouldn't really fight these guys.
Embrace the sword.
Cravers? Cravers are kind of a hard counter to everyone. So if you run into Cravers, just try to ignore them. Basically, when it comes to Cravers, you really want to just ignore them and let them do what they want, because they are a hard counter to pretty much everyone in the game. These guys, if you pick Cravers, you'll pretty much always win, because they counter everyone.
The families want you.
Lumeris. Lumeris is a money faction, which is your weakness. Now, you have the ability to become friends with people, and what you want to do is actually become friends of the Lumeris. Because if you become friends with Lumeris, that will fix your money weakness. So you want to become friends with Lumeris as fast as you can. You want to find them and become friends. The Vidani.
As we cleanse the galaxy and rise.
So the Vidani has a bad early game, and they have a very strong late game. They're also religious. So you want to do with Vidani is probably kill them right away, to be honest with you. If you see Vidani, the best thing you can do is probably just go to war with them as soon as you can, because their early game is actually really bad and their late game is really strong. So my advice for Vidani is to kill them right away. Now their ships start out with medium accuracy, which isn't a big deal. You should be fine. So if you see Vidani, I would kill them right away. And these guys don't really have any weaknesses, so they don't fix your... They can't fix your weakness, if that makes sense. They can't fix your science weakness. They can't fix your money weakness. So for the Vidani, just don't worry about them. And I would recommend killing them as soon as you can. Horatio.
Horatio.
Horatio specializes in farming. Horatio is a farming faction. Horatio you can be friends with. And Horatio also likes to be allies with other aliens. Horatio is a friendly faction and farming faction. Now you start out with really good food, so you don't really need to be friends with him. He doesn't fix your food issue, right? But I think it's possible to be friends with him. Another thing about Horatio is his spaceships are mostly shield, and you want to counter that with lasers. So if you do spot Horatio, you want to quickly swap to laser weapons, and you will win. As long as you have laser weapons, you can beat Horatio in a fight. As soon as you swap to laser weapons, you can beat Horatio. So if Horatio declares war on you, just switch to laser weapons and you win. You'll be fine. Riftborn. I have not played Riftborn yet, so I can't give you any advice. But Riftborn seem incredibly powerful. Riftborn are also an industrious faction. So what you could do is team up together and just have incredible industry. So I think being friends with the Riftborn is something you can do, because you're both industry, right? Now let's talk about the Unfallen.
Choose tenacity. Choose strength.
So the Unfallen
Choose the
are
unfallen.
trees. The Unfallen are trees, right? And you're an industry faction. And industry factions are kind of anti-tree. So to be honest with you, the Unfallen are kind of anti-United Empire, if that makes sense. So I think for the Unfallen, I don't know if you can be friends, to be honest. This is a tree faction. United Empire kind of cuts down trees and makes factories. So my advice for the Unfallen is probably, I don't know, you can declare war on them, but it's really up to you. It's up to you on how you handle them. But I don't think you can be friends with these guys, because they are your opposites. Oh yeah, another thing about Horatio.
Come.
So
let's
Horatio
beautify the galaxy.
is a farming faction, and farms are actually your opposite. So anything tree related, anything food related is actually your opposite, and something you want to avoid as United Empire. So you kind of want to avoid food people, and you kind of want to avoid anything plants. Plants are bad for you as United Empire, if that makes sense. So that is the matchups in a nutshell. So I'll go ahead and go through that again. Sophons are kind of your counter. Cravens counter everyone. There's not much you can do about Cravens. They just counter everyone. The one weakness Cravers have is weak planets, meaning they're very easy to conquer. That's pretty much their only weakness, is you can conquer them very easily. Lumeris fixes your money weakness, so being friends with them is really good. And honestly, being friends with the Sophons is a good choice, because they fix your science weakness. So being friends with the Sophons and being friends with the Lumeris is a good idea. And that's your matchups. That's some matchup advice. So I'm hoping this video helps you out.
By your will.
I'm hoping this video helps you out. Instead of spending 100 hours on how the game works, trying to figure stuff out, this is a video that should give you an easy start, and hopefully this helped you out. Now again, I don't know how much has changed from early access to right now, so we'll see. And I think I'll end the video there. I could play a few turns and go deeper, but I think I'll end it there. If you have any questions, let me know. If this was confusing, let me know. And yeah, so I think I covered everything, but let me know if I missed anything. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.